Hakadosh Boker Or.
Masechet.
Daf Yomi. Masechet. Makkot. Daf Vav Amud Aleph. But we're going to start on Hamud Bet on the bottom of the Mishnah.
He tricked us.
Yeah, but really, Behemet, we're Daf Vav today. Says the Mishnah. Al pi shenai medim, al pi shlosha edim yumat hamet. Right? Remember that through the mouth of two witnesses or three witnesses, the person will be put to death. I don't understand you. If it's enough already to have two witnesses, so why does it say three witnesses? So he says, Ela barado lakish. We're making a hekesh. Some people love making a kashim. So here it says lakish. Yeah, he comes and he says lakish shlosha lishtayim. We're making a hekesh 3 to 2. What does that mean? Mash shlosha mazimim et hashnayim. Just like three are going to make two witnesses into hazama, edim zomim. So two hashnayim et hashlosha. So two can make the three. Meaning just like the three can make the two can make the three. One more time, you have three witnesses. Three witnesses come into the bedin and they say, by the way, these two John Does, right? They were with us in a certain place. They're edim zomim. Do they become edim zomim? Yes. What about the other way around? There are three witnesses that came into the bedin. They testified. All of a sudden, two John Does come in and they say these guys were with us.
Works.
Can two make three into edim zomim? Yes. Lekesh. That's what we're doing. Just like three is allowed to make two into edim zomim, so two is allowed to make three into edim zomim. Uminayin, how do we know even 100? Meaning, imagine you have 100 witnesses that come to bedin, and you have two John Does that they come in and they change everything. Yeah, you heard? Yeah. How do you know? Tamulomar edim. Edim. That's it. That's all you need. Edim. The second you have two edim is like 100. Salam shos.
I have a question.
Rabbi Shimon says, right? Mashnayim en nagim at shiu shnehem zomimim. Right? We're on Hamud Bet lamata. Yeah. So he says, just like right, you're gonna have two witnesses, right? That they're not gonna be killed until both of them become zomimim. So three are not going to be killed until three becomes zomim. So that's another hekesh. Meaning they're not going to become zomim until everybody becomes zomim. How do we know even 100 of them? Edim. Edim. Rabbi Akiva Omer, right? Hamud Bet Mishnah. Right? Yeah, so he says, Rabbi Akiva says, Lo bashlishi la'kel ela lachmir alav. Ve'lasot dino kayutza belu. He comes and he says, you know why you have the third person? The third ed is only there in order to be machmir, not to be mekel. Right? What does that mean? So he comes and he says, which means it's teaching you that even though the edut of the shloshi is not adding anything, the betting could still be marshia otam and actually punish them, even though it doesn't add anything. I mean, I'm going to ask you a question. You have three John Does that come in. Did I need the third one? No. All I needed was two. But the fact that he came and he testified, he gets punished with everybody else. Right? Why? Because he's part of the clan. So right? So therefore he says, this is the musar of the day. Something incredible. You have people that they're nitpal le'ovrei avera. What does that mean? They didn't do the avera, but they're there with them. They attach themselves to them. They're there by association. They're there. Huh? Tafel. Secondary. So therefore he comes and he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to punish the nitpal le'ovrei avera just like the ovrei avera. Meaning, I didn't need this guy. Even without this guy, I would have had the testimony. Even without this guy, I would have had everything. But the fact that you're there by association, Kaddish. Nitpal le'ovrei avera ke'ovrei avera. So he says, yeah, you with him? Yeah, so he comes and he says, Nitpal le'ovrei avera, correct? So he says, Alacha kama v'chama, yeshalem Hashem sachar le'nitpal le'oseh mitzvah ke'oseh mitzvah. Right? He comes and he says like this. What does that mean? He says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give a reward for the ones which do mitzvot, even for the ones that nitpal le'oseh mitzvah. Meaning, you should always be with a group that they're always doing mitzvot. Even if you're not doing the mitzvot, but you're there, you're with them, by association. Yeah? Very good. Now why? Because you're going to get reward. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to reward you. Imagine, you're with a group of the bandits, and they're always making problems. So listen, you're going to say, no, but I didn't do it. I'm not the culprit. No, but you're always with them. You're always there. You're going to be punished. You're going to get burnt. Yeah? But, what? Yeah? Yeah? He comes and he says this. Qu'est-ce que tu dis? The same halacha was again. We keep on making a hekesh, right? Some people are doing a hekesh for everything, but here the Mishnah is saying no. There is going to be a hekesh between 2 and 3. So what? He says just like when you have two witnesses, if one of them is found karov pasul, the entire edut is batel, meaning one of them is found to be a family member, one of them is going to be disqualified for gambling or doing other things like that. So he says so to 3 witnesses. One of them is found to be karov pasul, edutam betela. How do we know even 100? Lomar edim. Edim. That's how we know it. Amar Rabbi Yosef says Rabbi Yosef, when you need one of these words, he says, right? Bedinei nefashot. Only with sorry. Only with dinei nefashot. By dinei mamonot, titkayem edut b'shar. Right? You're going to be mekayem edut with everybody else. Rabbi says, echad dinei nefashot. What? It's the same thing. V'matai. When do we say this? So he says, bizman sheitru bahen. Only if they did a hatra, which means the edim psulim were part of the hatra. He says, but let's say the edim psulim were not there, which means that they didn't even want to testify. So then no, right? Why? Because he says, if not, right? Imagine we have two brothers, right? There's 100 people there, but there's 2 brothers, and all of a sudden somebody comes and he murders somebody else. Now, if you're going to tell me that now all the 100 become disqualified because you have 2 brothers, so how do they do it then? So for obviously it has to be that they're part of the hatra, meaning it has to be that they're part of the warning, because if not, then what's going to happen, right? Because if not, the guys, look, you're going to find 2 people, right? You make sure that there are 2 brothers there, right? You come, you kill them, and then that's it, and then kaddish. You understand what? You understand why? Yeah. One more time. If you have a family member, 2 family members that they testify together, what happens? Everything becomes batel. So right. So now what's going to happen is what happens right now if you have 2 brothers. So it has to be that they're part of the hatra. It has to be that they're part that they want to testify. If they don't want to testify, even if you have 2 brothers, I don't care. But it has to be part of the testimony. It has to be part of the... Which one?
What does have to be part of?
The 2 brothers that want to come and they want to testify, they have to be part of the hatra in order to come and say, we want to testify. But if not, so then everything's going to be batel.
The 2 brothers could never be.
You're right. So they're not testifying together. That's why. One more time.
They need to be part of
the Gemara says the Mishnah. One more time. The Mishnah comes and the Mishnah says, just like when you have 2 witnesses, right? One of them is found karovu pasul, everything is annulled. When you have 3 witnesses, one of them is karovu pasul, everything is annulled. Now that's a chidush. Why is that a chidush? Because I would have thought to say, I've got 3 guys. Yeah. I knocked out 1 John Doe. I still have 2 John Does. Yeah. Right? So therefore, right, I'm still okay. Yeah. Says no. The second that I annulled it, I annulled everything.
This is true for the original edim as well as the ones who are coming to make them.
Yes, the exact same. Everything's the same, right? So now what happens? Comes Rabbi Yosef, and Rabbi Yosef comes and he says, "When is that dinei nefashot? Dinei mamonot? No, I knocked out 1. I still have 2. Okay, I knocked 1 down, fine, but I still have 2. That's dinei mamonot. That is shitat Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Omer, what are you talking about? Salam shos. Dinei mamonot, dinei nefashot. So b'diuk oto davar. Right? Dinei nefashot, dinei mamonot, the same thing. So therefore, which one? As far as the witnessing. So what does that mean? So he comes and he says as follows. When do we say that they're the same? If they wanted to give hatra, if there's no hatra, there's nothing. What does that mean? Right? Right now, you have 100 people in this room. Okay, 100 people. But there's 2 brothers. Right? Somebody comes and they did something, whatever it is. I don't want to mention now, right? So now what happens? What happens is as follows. If you're going to tell me now that because of the 2 brothers, everybody becomes pasul. Because it's kilu, all 100 are coming to testify. 2 of those 100 are family members. Kaddish on the entire 100. So what are you going to do now? They have to testify. Everyone, you need testimony. How are you going to do it? So therefore he comes and he says it's only when they both wanted to come and give the hatra'ah do you disqualify which one? Yeah, originally when they come and they see the action, they're going to give hatra'ah. They're going to give a warning. Then you come and you annul the entire testimony. But let's say one of them says, you know what, you testify, and I'm not going to testify. I take myself out. Yeah. So what happens? So what happens is there's no problem. He's a family member. Yeah, but I didn't want to testify. So therefore, he's my brother. It's okay. Let him testify. I'm not testifying. So now they're not going to cancel out the entire 100 because of the one ed which is pasul. You don't do that. That's what the Mishnah just said. Until here we're clear. Says the Gemara, Rava comes and he says, "Vehu sheyidu kulam betoch kedei dibur." When do we say also that they're all considered 100 or like two? Only if they all testify toch kedei dibur, which means one after another. Toch kedei dibur. Then it's all considered one testimony. But if not, then it's not. Okay? So Amaleh Ravacha Medifta Ravina Michti. Toch kedei dibur. What is toch kedei dibur? Kedei shelat talmid Rav. The talmid is coming and he's saying shalom to his rabbi. He says shalom alecha Rabbi Mori. Mea tuvavu. One second, but 100. You know how long it takes for 100 people to come and testify? That's a long time. So Amalei comes and he says, "Kol chab v'chab betok dibur." No. We're talking about that each one was toch kedei dibur from his friend. Not that the entire process of the testimony was toch kedei dibur. Each one between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and each one was with toch kedei dibur. Not that everything. Everything was much longer. But each one, 1, 2, 3, 4, when you finish, you have 100 edim. That's all one testimony. It's all one testimony. Again, it's dangerous because, as we already said, if it's all one testimony, the second that you null one, you destroyed everything else, right? That's that's the what we're saying. Obviously, again, machloket dinei mamonot dinei nefashot or not, but okay, fine. Next, Rabbi Kiva omer lo ba'shlishi la'akel la'achmin uma shnayim v'chuleh. Amar le Rav Papa la'Abaye, says Rav Papa to Abaye, ela me'ata. We're going to ask a question. Harug yatzil. The one that's being killed, he should save them from death. Why? Because since he's an ed to his own murder, so therefore he's pasul to testify. So therefore, what happens is that he should actually save, that now the murderer should be saved from anything. One more time, the guy that's getting killed, can he testify against the murder? Of course not. He's no gabadava. So therefore, if he cannot testify, so he should save the fact that it's going to null all the other edim because he himself cannot testify. So what's going to happen? Right? So answers the Gemara. Huh?
All the other edim.
So says the Gemara, right? Kisharago me'achorafi. He comes and he says he killed him from behind. So since he killed him from behind, he couldn't see to testify. So, right? The murderer killed him from behind. So since he killed him from behind, he can't do anything. Right? He can't testify. So he doesn't disqualify all the other witnesses. So says the Gemara, Nirba Yatzil, the one that gets sodomized, he should also save. What is Nirba? Right? Nirba. Tashmish. Gever shu anas gever acher. זה נרבה.
הבנת או ערפאת?
לא, זה מה שכתוב כאן גם ב-GPT, אבל לא הבנתי מה הקשר.
No, because since right now, he should save the person that's doing it, right? He should save the person that's doing it because if he's going to, b'kitzur, what are we saying? We're trying to say that if the person had kavana le'aid, right? Od pam, הבן אדם יש לו kavana le'aid, so what happens? So therefore he should save everybody else from everything that's going on. So the Gemara answers the same thing. He did it from behind. So since it was from behind, he couldn't see it. Meaning that he wasn't an ed. He wasn't a testimony. He wasn't a witness. Right? Okay, but what about the killer himself? Or the one that's doing the action? He should save. Why? Because ki'ilu that he has kavanah le'aid. Ishtik, he kept quiet. He didn't have an answer for that. Because basically the killer himself, right? The Abaye. Yeah? So what happened? When they came in front of Rava, Amaleh comes and he says, Yakum davar. Meaning like this. Until now, it says, Al pi shnayim edim o shlosha edim, Yakum davar. Yakum is Yekayem davar, not be'oseh davar. The horeg and the harug, the rove'a and the nirba are the oseh davar, not the mekayem davar. Witnesses are mekayem the davar. They establish what is the thing. They are not part of the equation. So here, these people are part of the equation, so therefore they're not counted. So if they can never save the killer or the murderer or the this or the that, they don't save them because they're not part of they're not part of the equation. Okay, fine. 2 dots. Amar Rabbi Yosef, says Rabbi Yosef. What are these words? What mayasu shnei achim? So he says, Hecham, what exactly was going on there? So Amar Rava says, this is what they said. Atitu or atitu. They're going to ask them, what did you guys do? Did you guys just go to look or you went to testify? If they're going to come and they're going to say that we went to testify, so therefore the entire thing becomes batel. Right? But they just said they went to see. So what are you going to happen then? What are you going to do when 2 brothers come and they see somebody coming and killing? So Itmar was stated. I'm reviewing the Shmuel. Halacha is like Rabbi Yosef, and Rav Nachman says halacha is like Rabbi. Okay, so basically we have a machloket. Halacha like Rabbi Oziel like Rabbi. Meaning, do you cancel out the witnesses and then that's it, Kaddish, or not? Okay, so it's machloket. How do we paskin? Okay, Vav Bet Mishnah. Okay, Mishnah Vav Bet 6b. Yeah, ayu shnaim roim oto mechalon zeh, shnaim roim oto mechalon zeh. Imagine you have two witnesses from one window and two witnesses from another window. Ve'echad matrebo, and one person is in the middle and he's giving the atrah ba'emtza. If some of the witnesses could see each other, it's all one testimony. If not, it's considered two separate testimonies. And therefore, if one of them became zomem, right? The avarian and them, they're going to be killed, basically. And the second one is going to be patur, because they didn't become, right? Edim zomim. Rabbi Yosef says no. You need two witnesses giving hatrah. Meaning the one person in the middle giving the warning does not combine everybody. You need two witnesses giving that atrah, not one. So for again, basically this is the concept of seeing each other. That if you see each other, so you're considered one group, right? To do with minyan and everything else. Tavar acher, another explanation. Al pi shnayim edim, shelot sanhedrin shomad mi pi haturjuman. When it says al pi shnayim edim yakum davar, we're not talking about no. They have to understand. The Bedin, they have to understand what's going on. Why? Because they cannot come and have an interpreter, because many times the interpreter changes things. So therefore you have to understand what's exactly going on. Until you're clear? Gemara. Okay? Amar Zutia Batur v'Amar Rav. Says Zutia Batur v'Amar Rav. Minayin le'edut miyuchedet shi psula. How do we know that when you have edut miyuchedet, that it's going to be pasul? Shneimar, it says in pasuk, al pi ed echad. You're not going to kill them al pi ed echad. Ma yecha, what does it mean now al pi echad? If you're going to tell me it's mamash ed echad, it says al pi shnayim edim. You need two edim. Ela ma echad, echad. Each one benifrad, which means that it cannot be that each one is benifrad. There has to be everyone together, right? They have to be that they see it together. Meaning, it cannot be that we're talking about only one witness, because one witness is a klum. So shum davar. We're talking about there's two witnesses. The only thing is they were separate. It's one after another. One after another means that they don't combine to become one.
So they're one.
Right?
Let's say one saw somebody, for example, kill, and then he started running away, and another person started running away from that same area.
No, that's for sure not. That's circumstantial evidence. That's nothing. Torah is nothing.
No, that contradicts.
If you come and you see a person come into a tent, into a room, he goes in with a big knife, right? He goes inside, he comes outside with a knife full of blood. You run inside and you see the guy there, dying in the thing. You can't do anything to him. Again, you could put him in a jail. You can't kill him. You didn't witness the murder.
But it makes sense that that's what happened.
Doesn't matter. Circumstantial evidence.
You have to see with the whole
So you have to see the whole act.
Witness.
You have to witness for sure.
And let's say if there's one person that witnessed, but only one.
So says the Gemara, we also learned this in the Braita. Lo yumat al pi yed echad, להביא שניים שרואים אותו, אחד מחלון זה ואחד מחלון זה, ואין רואים זה את זה, שהם מצטרפים, they don't combine. ולא, not only that, אלא אפילו בזה אחר זה בחלון אחד, even in the same window, one after another, also הם מצטרפים. Meaning, it's not only just that two different people from two different windows, even if it's in the same window, and it's two different times, meaning you come and look in the window, you come back and say, look, you threw him through the window and he starts looking, but you weren't looking at the same time through the window.
You're looking at him because he's a pizza town. I understand.
What are you going to repeat that one, please?
Even if it's the same window, but one after another, they also don't combine. In order for them to combine, they have to be together, seeing each other
At the same time.
Meaning, let's say,
Seeing the same thing.
there's a building here, there's a building here, two people are in this balcony, there's a building there, two people in the balcony, they could see each other and they could see a case.
Exactly. So then that's going to be fine. That's the case.
But if
That they combine. And then you cannot see them. No, disconnected. And not only that, even from the same window, they're disconnected if it's one after another. So that's why I said, for example, you peeped out of the door, and all of a sudden you come and say, hey, look. You come and you throw the other guy to the door, but it was one after another. They didn't see together. Nothing has changed. Everything's the same. The murder with a knife, and then he's still plucking away, and he's still... Nothing. They don't combine.
What, the guy stabbed him 10 times?
Yeah.
He sees the first three. The one guy sees the first three, the other guy sees the last
Yeah, last three.
It
Whatever.
doesn't count?
No. Because you need two witnesses.
Two witnesses and then spot.
That's crazy.
They're there.
That makes no sense.
No, but it was one after
They see-
another.
they see
It
the-
doesn't matter. It's one after another.
The last 5-6 stabbing, they both see it together.
No,
Then-
no.
then
If
they-
they
they
see it
need-
together, that's fine. But they didn't see it together. It was in one after
One guy
another.
saw, ran away.
Don't run away, or even come. He said, "Look," and then he puts you through the window, and
They
you
need to
see.
be
But it
truthful
wasn't.
to the court that they didn't see at the same time.
So he comes and he says, "Amaleh of Papa Labai says of Papa Labai hashta umay chamechalon ze vechamechalon ze haikacha zikula masa veikacha." If you're gonna have, say two people in two different windows, that each person saw the entire act, and still they're not mitzaref because they don't see each other. So b'zeh achar zeh, right, and one after another, that each one only saw half the action. The haicha zepalga masa. Well, obviously, you know. Meaning, in the case, imagine right now you have the two different people in two different windows, but they don't see each other. But there's two witnesses. Each one saw the full action. Now, what do we say? We said that since they don't see each other, they don't combine. So kal vachomer then, if it's one after another, they don't combine. But the first guy, like what you said, only saw the first half of the action. The second guy only saw half of the action, right? And the third guy saw his phone, right? Whatever. But you know, I mean that it's not the same. They don't see anything. We're all here together. We see each other.
Which one is
He's Metayev B'Shas.
Bazu v'zeh hamburger.
Elmaleh, he comes and he says, "Lo nitzecha, ela leboel et ha'erva."
אלא מה?
Boel et ha'erva. Boel et ha'erva, it's all one action.
What is it? Can you explain it to us?
Basically, when we're talking about a case of murder or a case of things like that, maybe you already killed him with the first stab or with the first whatever it was. It was one bullet or whatever it is. So therefore, you only saw half an action. Here, when the person is going to be boel et ha'erva, nothing is lacking from the maaseh of the avera. You come and you see the man with the woman, right? Every single time that he's going, everything that he's doing, that's a maaseh erva.
Same part.
It's the same part. So therefore, it's not that each one is seeing half of the testimony. Okay. So Amar Rava comes and he says, "Im hayu roin et hamatre or hamatre roin otam mitzarfim." According to Rava, if they see the one that's giving the warning or the one that's giving the warning sees them, they combine. That means even though they can't see each other, but he's like the interconnector. He connects them together. It's like the shliach tzibur. That if you have, let's say, the shliach tzibur right over here, does he connect the people in here and the people out there? Because he's the connector. He's the one that's connecting everybody. The Amar Rava and Rava says, "Matre shamru." The one that's giving the warning that we said is a film piatzmo, a film pished. Even if it's the guy that's being killed, or even if it's a shed that gives hatra, meaning the guy that's being killed can give the hatra'ah to the other person, to the murder. He could give the hatra'ah. You understand what we just said? He could be giving the hatra'ah. So Amar of Nachman says of Nachman, right? Edut miyuchedet k'shera b'dinei mamonot. You know, edut miyuchedet is kosher for dinei mamonot. What does that mean? Two witnesses on their own, dinei mamonot, you could combine them. תכתיב לא יומת על פי יד אחד, דיני נפשות אין עדת כשרה, אבל דיני ממונות כשרה. So, to do with life and death, no, two witnesses that are not combined, they don't combine. But to do with the mamonot, yeah, you could have each individual witness come and combine. That you could do by dinei mamonot. So, Matkif la Rav Zutra asks, Ela me'ata, pi dinei nefashot tatzil, so what? You're going to tell me that it should save them then. So, Alama, so why do we learn then, hu vehen neragin, that he, meaning the defendant and the din zomim are going to be killed? Right, because each kvutza is considered something different. He says, "Hayinu tzrichim lomar," that everybody is mitzarfim lekatachat, and therefore he should become patur because of everybody else. So you're right. It's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah. Fine. Rabbi Yosef Omer, we're on the two dots. The two dots says, Rabbi Yosef comes and he says that they're never going to be killed until two witnesses are giving the atra. So Amaleh of Papa Abaye says of Papa to Abaye, umit le Rabbi Yosef. I swear, does Rabbi Yosef actually hold that? Vatzaram, we learned in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yosef says, "Hasoneh ne'erag." The one that kills, he gets killed in Beddin, even if he didn't get hatra. Why? Neshu kemu'adu mutre. Meaning, if you have an enemy, a guy that hates somebody else, and he kills, you don't even have to give him. You don't have to give him a warning. He's a muad. He's already. You know that the guy wants to kill. Usually, you have to give a warning because the guy doesn't know. He doesn't understand. The guy. He's an enemy. He knows exactly what he's doing. Yeah, exactly. And then afterwards, by the way, you should know, you should be very, very careful. That actually happened, I think, that actually happened once. That somebody went and he screamed in front of everybody that he's going to kill him. And then afterwards, they went and they found the guy dead.
Oh.
They put the guy in jail. and it took him after 10 years to finally they actually found the real culprit, and then he was taken out. But why? Because the fact that he said that he's going to do it, exactly. So therefore, a person has to be very, very careful because they thought for sure this is the guy. He went, he said he's going to kill him, and then he was found dead. So that's it. And really, Bemet, it wasn't him.
What is that? In Brooklyn?
No, I think it was Canada. Maybe Montreal, but Montreal. Yeah. So Elmaleh, he comes and he says, Hahu Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yudahi. That's Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yudah. The Tanya was we learned in a Braita. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yudah Omer, Chaver en tzarich hatra. Also, a Chaver doesn't need hatra. He says, why? Do you know why you need hatra? Hatra is to differentiate between by accident or on purpose. A Talmid Chacham, he knows that it's meaning
Premeditated.
exactly. You don't need hatra. Okay, davar acher, another explanation. Al pi shnai medim, shelo te Sanhedrin shomat mipi turguman. That the Sanhedrin should not be listening al pi meturgamin. Hanau leozeh de'atu lekamed Rava. There were people that they spoke a lashon las.
Why Allah Mutargeman? They always should be like somebody.
No, listen. So he says, there were these loozeh that they came in front of Rava. Uki Rava turguman. So he put a turguman. So he asked, how did he do that? We learned to the Mishnah, shelo te Sanhedrin shomat mipi turguman. So he says, Rava made yada ma'u de amre. He knew, he understood them. He didn't know how to answer them. Meaning, many times it's easy to understand a language. You can't speak it. Speaking the language is harder than understanding. So you could understand. So you understand. So that's exactly what happened. So therefore, he understood, but he didn't speak it. So he put them into a Gemara just to speak. But the understanding, he already knew that he understood it. We're just going to finish to the Mishnah. Zayin Amud Aleph. Ila v'tuvya karva darvahu. They were krovei mishpacha of an arev. Right? Savar of Papa. So you wanted to say Gabelove or Malve, yeah, but to do with the Love and the Malve, they're actually not family members. Meaning, to do with the Arev is a guarantor. So to do with the guarantor, they were family members. But to do with the borrower and the lender, they were not family members. So he thought to say, listen, there's no problem. So he says, Papa, Ilele Love, He says, one second, what happens if the borrower doesn't have money? Who do they go to? To the Arev, to the guarantor. So the fact that they go to the guarantor, so now it's going to be a problem. So because of that, he says that it's also going to be a problem because there's a edut, right, that it's going to be pasul. Meaning, even though you're right, for the borrower and lender, these two guys are not family members to them. So there's no problem. But if the borrower does not have the money, they go to the guarantor. The fact that they are family members to the guarantor, so therefore obviously it's going to disqualify them as well.